Hey, stop calling E85 pump gas. It's not pump gas. You know what pump gas is? It's the same gasoline you can get anywhere in this country. 87 octane, 89 octane, 91, 93, something in that area. That's real pump gas. You know how common it is to get pump gas even here in the state of Ohio where we grow corn? Well, I'll show you to prove my point. Huh, look at that. No E85. Huh. No E85 here. Nope. No E85 there. Nope. No E85 here either. Seriously? No E85 here either? Surely E85? Nope. No E85. I am in Central Ohio, Columbus to be exact. And even here, it is not easy to find E85. You have to purposely go out of your way to find E85 because it's not something most people use. Yes, there are vehicles that are built to run flex fuel. However, very, very rarely do people ever actually use their flex fuel, other than the fact that they sometimes just want to buy cheaper gasoline. Now, the neat thing is with E85 is it does have a higher octane rating than your normal gasoline would have. Your octane rating on 87 and 89 and 91, 93 is, you know, you get the point. But with octane in an E85 blend, you usually are getting somewhere between 100 and 105 octane, which is great. So everybody out there that's running those turbocharged LS motors, the way they're doing it is not because they built a motor with lower compression to be able to handle the turbo boost, or at least usually not. What they're doing is they're switching over to E85 to get that additional burn, to get that additional octane, to be able to run that additional amount of compression that they're getting from that turbo. Most people aren't building motors that are going to be lower compression to add boost to. And the E85 thing is literally just poor man's race gas. Now, the biggest problem that I have with E85, other than the fact that everybody calls it pump gas, is the fact that it's extremely energy inefficient. Now, it does have a very high octane rating. Like I said, it's like 100 octane, depending on what your blend is. E85 is usually going to be somewhere between 51 and 85% ethanol. But the problem is, it's very inefficient. You're typically going to get 30% of a loss of fuel economy. You're going to use 30% more ethanol than you are going to be using for gasoline for the same amount of thing. Which means if you happen to have, I don't know, a hot rod that gets 15 miles to the gallon, well, guess what? On E85, you're getting like 10.5 miles per gallon. So if you are going on a road trip, if you are building a drag and drive car, if you're going on a long distance adventure and you want to have a true drivable, daily drivable vehicle, you're not doing that on E85. It's just not something you do. You also have to plan ahead to be able to figure out where your fuel stops are. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Southwest of me here is Cincinnati, Ohio. It's about an hour and a half from Columbus. 2 hours, depending on what part of Columbus you're in. You want to know how many E85 stations are between here and there? One. On the interstate. One between here and there. So if you get gasoline in Columbus, you get your E85 blend, and you are getting 12 miles to the gallon, 10 miles to the gallon in your hot rod, by the time you get to Cincinnati, you've already used up 10 gallons of fuel. 10 gallons of fuel, which is crazy. You have more charging stations for electric vehicles between Columbus and Cincinnati than you do have E85 stops. And that gets even worse when you get outside of corn country. One of the benefits of the United States getting into the ethanol game with E85 and that kind of stuff is it is a very corn and agricultural intensive product. We are converting a lot of corn into ethanol to put into fuels, which is great for people who grow corn. If the industry is kind of having a lackluster year, they've still got that they can lean on. If it's something that turns into feed, it's fine. But otherwise, they've got that access to be able to use that corn to be able to make fuels. And that's been wonderful for farmers. There's a shitload of people that make a whole bunch of money just growing corn to be able to turn into fuels, which is awesome. It's also, and I know you're probably going to hate to hear this, actually kind of environmentally friendly. Now, I know most of you guys don't care about environmentally friendly stuff, but the neat thing with E85 is it actually comes with oxygen molecules in it. And it actually doesn't need the same type of terrible treatment we used to do to be able to increase that or as an additive in the actual gasoline that we used to use pre-adding ethanol to our fuels. So because it comes bonded with some extra oxygen that's already in there, it actually is a cleaner fuel than what you're going to normally get. You do run it at a little bit different efficiency range, stoichiometric on something like this that's running gasoline and carbureted type stuff. You're going to be like 14.6 to 1. Ethanol, you're going to run a little bit of a richer blend because of the fact that you've got actually added oxygen that's in that fuel system itself. And it's a cool fuel. It is a cool fuel. I will be honest. It's neat. It's nice. It's like cheap as hell, and it's not $10 a gallon for race gas like normal 100 octane VP race gas is. But it's not pump gas, guys. It's not pump gas. Stop calling your street car a street car that runs on pump gas and 12.5 to 1 compression, or 13 to 1 compression, or 11 to 1 compression on 20 pounds of boost, because it's not. It's running on race gas. You just don't have to pay as much for race gas as everybody else used to pay for race gas. That's all there is to it. Now, I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody mad. Not really. But I'm trying to prove a point here. I'm trying to talk about the fact that we have gotten to the point where we are a little bit spoiled with where we are now and where certain things have moved the automotive industry. Ethanol and E85 has undoubtedly changed things in the performance world. You cannot question that. Ethanol, the rise of E85 and the rise of ethanol fuels coincided, oddly, with the rise of tuning and all of the variable valve timing and variable timing controls, as well as the LS. And I will be very honest with you that I am not a big LS guy. Not a big fan of it. I think they're kind of boring, but it is undoubtable how much power you can make out of those things. And a lot of that can come down to the fact that you can put turbos on them, you can put a supercharger on them, you can put whatever you want to on it, throw some extra, added compression there with extra air, and then just dial up some E85 to be able to offset that extra compression and just let it eat. Now, your fuel economy is going to suck, but it's capable of being able to do it, and it's not insanely expensive. Pre-E85 and ethanol, we all had to go to the track and spend gobs of money if we happen to have a 12.5 to 1 compression, 13 to 1 compression motor, because we had to run a really, really expensive, usually leaded octane to be able to run it, which is going to kill things like O2 sensors and that kind of stuff. Ethanol has undoubtedly improved the ability for all of the rest of us to be able to go out and go racing. And for that, I'm happy to say I'm glad it's around. For the fact that it helps support a lot of farmers that are out there, I'm glad it's around. I'm glad you guys are growing our fuels for us. As far as an energy independence thing, hey, America likes to be energy independent, and I believe we should be energy independent. I think it's incredibly important, just like making steel and aluminum in this country. Very important to do that. I get it. It's an important thing to do, and ethanol does additionally add that to us. It is something that is regional. If you look at the maps as far as where E85 stations are, it is definitely very regional. When you get out of the corn-growing country, you get out of the Midwest and the Southeast, or you get off the coasts, a lot of that E85 is getting very, very difficult to find. If you get out into the kind of the God's country areas, good luck. You're not finding it. And the reason I bring that up, and I'm trying to be very honest with you here, is when you do things like dragon drives, or you do long distance adventures like a power tour, or something along those lines, plan ahead with your build. Plan ahead and start with what kind of fuel are you going to be running? And be honest with yourself. As you saw with our most recent video with the old 455 that we did for that customer, we built that to run on 87 octane. 87. So there is not a single gas pump in this country that gentleman can't pull up to, just take it out, stick it in the hole, pump a bunch of fuel in, and rock and roll. Turn the key and roll. He's going to make 500 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque all day long. Doesn't matter what kind of dyno juice he's getting. And we did that for an absolutely purposeful reason, A, it saves you $1 a gallon. Back when I was a kid, it used to be like 10 or 15 cents to go from 87 octane to 89 octane. Those graduations were very, very inexpensive. Nowadays, they're like 50 cents, which is expensive. So instead of 87 octane, or instead of 91 or 93 octane, you run 87, you save yourself $1 a gallon. You know, you're running around in a hot rod that's got a 20-gallon tank. That's $20. That's lunch. And it does add up. It does add up. But it also, more importantly, gives you some wiggle room. If you happen to get some bad fuel somewhere, if you happen to have some situations where you don't have access to something that you'd really, really like to have. If you, for instance, built say I built the motor that's in this little Pinto, and I built it to 10.5 to 1 compression on cast iron head. Well, you can do that, but you're going to be running on the ragged edge of what timing can handle. You're going to be running on the ragged edge of what your fuel can handle. And if you happen to get some bad fuel, or you get a little too aggressive with something, or you run into a situation where it's running lean, it's getting too much air, you could end up burning the thing up. And it's not a good thing. The last thing you want to do with your hot rod is to blow it up because you use bad fuel. And it happens. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Anyway, E85, it's a great fuel. I'm glad we have it. I'm glad it exists. It's not pump gas, guys. Stop pretending your car runs on pump gas. If you think your car runs on pump gas, I'll give you a challenge. Drive all the way across this country on the interstates in a hot rod, coast to coast, on E85. You can't do it. I bet you can't do it. If you did do it, it'd be a gigantic pain in the neck because you're going to be hunting and pecking and looking, searching desperately for an E85 station, probably having to get off the highway to be able to do it. It's just not something that's available. And the funny thing is, as much as we all hate electrification, and I'm not a gigantic fan of electrified cars, I think they have a time and a place and a function, especially in delivery vehicles and in around town type of stuff. Not so much in the fun realm of things, but the electrification that we have seen over the last 20 years is so outstripped E85, it's not even funny. And like I said earlier in the video, even the people that have flex fuel vehicles, typically speaking, don't even run E85 in it. It's just kind of one of those things that we had to play the game to be able to make it work. So anyway, listen, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to even agree with me. But I do have a big gray beard, so I probably know what I'm talking about. Capiche? All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I truly do appreciate you. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm just off my rocker and I'm just screaming at the camera in 15-degree weather? Or do you think there's something to this? Do you think maybe I'm not as dumb as I may look? This is Automotive Adventures with Austin. If this is your very first video of being here, appreciate you stopping by. I am Austin. These are my adventures. This is just more of an automotive ramblings kind of thing, but I do those too. If you can stand this kind of thing, if you put up with me and my big beard, my big mouth, click on the subscribe button. It'd be great to have you here. If this is a video you've seen, or if you've seen other videos of mine, hey, thanks for coming back. I truly do appreciate you. You guys watching the stuff I do helps me pay for the things that I do. So thank you guys all very much. Hope you're having a great day. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.